Welcome to the Medical Ancillary Sales Podcast, your number one source for making money in the medical ancillary sector. Mike and Viv bring you the latest information from lab services, pharmacy, diagnostic testing, and so much more. The latest in ancillary services will be right around the corner. Welcoming the hosts of the Medical Ancillary Sales Podcast, here's Mike and Viv.
Hello and welcome to the Medical Ancillary Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Berg, and joined as always by Viv Hudson. How you doing, Viv?
I'm great, thanks, Mike. And today you get to be our special guest, which is pretty exciting.
Well, yes. Today I wanted to go back over a program that we spoke about on one of the previous podcasts 3 or 4 episodes ago. We had John Rust on from Sprint to talk about the lab-to-lab opportunity, but then it hit me. I was getting some questions from people about selling this directly to their doctors. And this is a great test with some real clinical benefits and definitely something that doctors are interested in. And I thought this is a good opportunity to let people know that, yes, you could sell this directly to your physicians. And in fact, that's a great source of revenue for you and a great test for the doctors to be offering that could potentially save patient lives.
So tell me, Mike, why would pain doctors in particular be interested in ordering the bladder cancer test?
Well, it's real simple. If you have any pain doctors out there, especially if they're already ordering toxicology, which most of them are, their patients are at a particularly higher risk of developing bladder cancer. The reason is because the pain medications that they take forces the muscles to contract and it forces urine retention. And I know just in the brief time that I've been involved in this, laboratories and doctors that I've spoken to have agreed with this, that yes, urine retention is an issue and that urine retention can lead to UTI and it can also further down the road lead to bladder cancer. And what compounds the issue is that the patients are on pain medications, so they don't feel the symptoms. So, and bladder cancer is a particularly deadly form of cancer. And we shared on the last podcast, and I should have probably had it up in front of me here, Viv. I don't have the exact statistics, but if you look at the 3-year survival rate of bladder cancer, it's not good. And one of the reasons is because it's not detected early, and that's what this test does. Is it gives your doctors the tools they need to be able to properly treat their patient and looks for the risks of bladder cancer.
Right. And so from what I understand, a lot of pain doctors are taking urine samples anyway for toxicology, so they can use that same sample to send in, have this additional test so there's no further invasiveness for the patient or any other demands on the patient to be able to have it done.
Well, not only that, Viv, you're also not asking the doctor to change what they're doing. It's hard to get the doctor to change, and if they're not going to change their toxicology lab, this gives you another opportunity. If you're going in there trying to sell tox, which you should be, because it's, let's face it, I mean, it makes really good money. And but this could be an additional way to get your foot in the door with the practice. Because if the doctor says, no, I use XYZ lab down the street, I love them, I have a good relationship with them. Doc, that's great, that's fine. You can keep that relationship going and they can continue to run your tox. All you have to do is indicate to them that you would like your residual urine returned with a report. And they have to return it. He can then fill out a rec form for the bladder cancer test and take that residual urine. Urine has a long shelf life. So they can then take that residual urine after they've done the tox screen and order the bladder cancer test separately.
Right. So as a rep that's out there, what do the commissions look like for this particular solution?
Well, here's the nice thing, and this is why, I mean, we've all been jerked around in this business. I don't want to mince words. I mean, everybody has had, if you've been in the ancillary world longer than a week, you've had at least one negative experience. and with a lot of the laboratories that I've dealt with, the problem is they can play a shell game with their numbers sometimes, and they could say, well, yeah, you're getting this high percentage, but then you look and it's like, well, after this huge cost of goods, and oh yeah, by the way, there's a billing fee here and everything else, and you're only getting paid out of net proceeds. But with John's company, with Sprint, they pay off the top. So that means whatever's collected, you get paid off of. No cost of goods sold. Number two, he is also paying for the cytology. So I explained in the previous podcast what the process is. The first thing the pathologist is going to do is a cytology with a Pilgrim stain. Now, there is no lab on earth that would pay a rep out for that, but our partner does, and he pays you off the top. So you're looking as a sales rep, you're probably making, let me do the quick math on that, Viv. Just on those, you're going to make about maybe $25. Let's say. And so you would get $25 on every sample for the Pilgrim stain and the cytology. Now, the patients that have abnormalities or hematuria, those tests are going to be reflexed, and that's when they're going to run the Eurovision fish. On that, then you could expect to get maybe another $150 on top of that. Now, that's maybe 1 out of 5 tests that will actually get reflexed. So you can figure on 100% of these tests, you're going to get the extra $25, and then you're going to get that extra amount for the fish test as well. You might get another $150 on top. So as a blended average, you're probably in the $50 or $60 per cup. I'm going to say. As an average, that's probably what it will come out to be. But that's in addition to whatever you're making on the toxicology. It's not a bad deal at all for a secondary test to run.
Right, and even if a rep didn't have their toxicology business, it wouldn't stop them from being able to have the doctor use this test and benefit.
Well, remember this too, Viv. Toxicology is getting cutbacks. That's no secret. 40% cutbacks starting in 2017, you're going to see some major cutbacks. So you should be, as labs are looking for additional ways to combat this, this pay cut that's coming to them. As a sales rep, you should also be looking for ways to ensure that you're still making the same amount of money per cup next year as you are right now. And the only way to do that you're going to be able to do that is get a bunch more accounts, or just add on this testing to your existing accounts. Right.
And the benefits to the patient are that there's going to be a significant, well, probably not a significant number, I wouldn't want to say that, but certainly a number of patients that potentially will have their lives saved because of this early detection.
Most patients are going to come back negative, of course.
Absolutely.
But you catch one patient. One patient is worth it. If you've ever known anyone with bladder cancer, and like I said, it's a deadly form of cancer. So catching it early on one patient makes it worth it for the practice.
And from what I understand, I think from one of the other podcasts, it was as much as like 15 to 20% of specimens have blood in the urine, which is kind of always a cause for concern to be able to take that urine for further testing anyway.
That's correct.
Yeah. So what are the logistics of getting an office set up and getting specimens started being sent in?
Well, again, this is nice and easy. This is what I like about this process. There's not 100 hoops we have to jump through, and we all like hospital billing. Yeah, it pays great, but this there is nothing fancy with this. This is a simple one-page form that the doctor fills out. They get sent their rec forms. They send in their specimens. I mean, you could have a doctor say, yes, I would like to do that bladder cancer test, and he could be sending in tests the same day. It's really a very quick process to get them set up and to get them rolling. So that's the other thing I like about this. There's not some 20-page contract that the doctor has to pour through and let me get with my attorney and get back to me in 3 weeks, and before you know it, it's Christmas and you're still waiting on the doctor to sign the contract. this you could if you're listening to this podcast, it's Thursday, you could legitimately have samples in Monday.
That's pretty speedy.
Can I add one more thing?
I guess so.
Pathology pays very quick also. So a lot of these samples will get paid the same month that they're submitted. And so this isn't something where you're 5 months out from seeing a decent paycheck. If you get a doctor to buy into this, they're going to order it on a lot of patients. And if you have a doctor who starts ordering now, you're realistically seeing a paycheck in September, a decent paycheck.
Well, if that's not a reason to get started promoting this particular solution, I don't know what is. So what are the qualifications to run the test? What kind of patients would be patients that would be well suited to have this testing done?
Well, we have a flyer for this, and this is on the flyer. So if anyone wants to get this flyer, please contact me. But I'm just reading this off the flyer that you did for us, Viv. So thank you for putting it together. But as you mentioned, patients with hematuria, which is blood in the urine, or current or past smokers, patients who are over the age of who are 40 or older, or if the patient has a family history of bladder cancer, or any individuals that work a job where they're exposed to chemicals or dyes. That would include hair dyes. A hairdresser, for instance, could get tested for bladder cancer.
Right. So if you are not out there promoting bladder cancer testing, it's certainly something that you as a sales rep can easily put on your radar and easily get a doctor up and running, and from the sounds of things, get paid pretty quickly. So I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to do this. Do you, Mike?
Well, maybe if you don't like money and you don't like helping patients, if those are anathema to you, then you wouldn't like this. If you're looking for something that's hard to sell, this is not the thing for you, because everyone we've spoken to so far it's been a very easy, soft sell. And I've sold a lot longer selling programs that generated no money for the physician, as I know you have, Viv. I mean, as a pharma rep, we're not selling anything to the doctor in terms of the amount of revenue that they're going to make. And sometimes that's easier. It's an easier approach to hit the doctor. You throw the money out the window. Let's just talk about what's best for your patients. Here's how this test can help your patients, and it keeps the doctor focused, and they like it.
Well, I think doctors like to be a hero, and if they can safeguard a patient through early detection, it certainly does make that doctor a hero, because I know that if it was me and my doctor ran that test just through routine screening, I'd be kissing his feet.
Well, what would your attitude be if you or a loved one found out you had bladder cancer and your doctor had this test available but wasn't offering it just due to apathy, or just didn't think it was worth it because it's not going to catch enough patients?
That would be enough to make your blood boil, I'm sure.
Or call a lawyer.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Well, we're running short on time. So if anybody has any questions about the test, you can reach out to me directly. Everybody has my number, 858-925-3119. I can get you whatever materials you need to get set up. If your doctor ever wants to talk directly to the pathologist, I can arrange those calls as well. But call me, reach out to me. You can always get us at ancillarypodcast@gmail.com as well, and we'll get you set up to sell this to your physicians.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.